Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Friday at 4, Steve. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Chuck. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Busy week. Look, we got a guest today. Blake, welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series. How are you?
I am excellent. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining. And it's interesting because Blake and I just did a podcast interview for his business right before the Friday at 4. So I'm excited to get these things edited and put up.
Yes, me too. It was super fun. My first podcast ever.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Blake.
Make sure you save
Yeah.
it, throw it out on if you have a YouTube channel or anything else. Really put it out there for everybody to see.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
And real quick, you probably noticed I'm a little red today. As a couple of days this week, I was out in the sun, and I actually helped a good friend of mine. I didn't detail the car, but he did a fantastic job detailing the car. I was just his helper. Collins Mobile Detailing. The guy's great. He does paint correction, coating. He's a really he's excellent. His work is premier. And reach out to him at collinsmobiledetailing.com or 443-643-8195. Guy does mobile detailing, comes to you, and he does ceramic coating as well. So,
And what
there
area
you go.
geographically is he in?
Harford County. He lives local to me. And he'll travel a little bit out
In
through
Maryland?
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Great guy.
Good.
Yeah. So, Steve, what you got today? What's our topic?
We're trying to figure out things that we can talk about that not only impact us, but impact our viewers as well. And one of the things that we were kicking around was inflation and the cost of living and the tariffs and all the stuff that's going on. So let me say again what we say pretty much at the beginning of every single episode. We're just normal guys. We're not sponsored by anybody. This is from our experience to add value to other people. So again, it's our experience and what we do and what living with and through just as good, or as the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So one of the things I guess I want to just kick off, and again, there's no real format, so this is a free-flowing conversation. From what I have seen, and I'm just outside New York City, from what I have seen, inflation is hitting everybody, no matter what you do, individual, business, it doesn't matter. And it's a challenge because when so many people's income, if you're working for somebody else, is pretty much fixed. So when inflation is going up, what they tell you at 2-3%, but we all know it's significantly higher. How do we as individuals and businesses really compensate for a fixed set of income or fixed income for the rising prices? And the goal behind today is really, how does it impact my business, Chuck's business, Blake's business? We're going to kind of split it up a little bit so we can talk about what it means to us from how people spending money, cost of goods, how is it impacting what's going on? And that's really what we want to try to relay out to the viewing audience of it's real. And maybe we can give them some ideas of how to, as much as we can, fight the inflation effects and still live a somewhat sane, normal life.
Here's what's cool, because Blake is in the retail business.
Right.
I'm in the service business, and you're in the middle. So you have the financials. So we have three really cool businesses here. And Blake, chime in, man, because I think this is going to be a really good episode because we have three different businesses here that we're going to have three different takes on, what's going on in terms of inflation and cost of living, because I'm seeing it from the restaurant side, from the small business side. You're seeing it from the personal side, and Blake is seeing it from all over, right?
Mm.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
So,
I can kick off an answer here if we're good with
yeah.
that.
So for just to frame it, high level, what again, we're not talking numbers. High level, what do you do? Where are you located? What do you do? And some of the impacts on your business.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So Blake, I live in the Richmond, Virginia area,
Okay.
and I sell fabric, like fabric for making tote bags, hats, clothes, etc. And one area this has affected me a lot, and I work with people with this, is warehouse space, office space, retail space. We
Mm.
know rent is through the roof.
Yep.
Yeah.
And some advice I highly recommend people take advantage of this is collaborating with businesses that are similar to yours to share space.
Mm.
Um,
Great idea.
this worked with me. So I sell fabric. I have a warehouse full of fabric. And at one point, I couldn't afford rent because it went up. And I teamed up with some ladies who repair sewing machines.
Mm.
And so we worked a deal out to where they rented space in my warehouse. And it
Gotcha.
was a win-win situation.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, the cost of goods is a whole different discussion, with inflation and tariffs and all that stuff. But I love the
Cost
idea,
of
which I
goods.
never would have thought of. It's the technical term stuff, by the way. Um,
Stuff.
I never would have thought what you mentioned, Blake, about sharing space, but that's brilliant because yeah, a lot of businesses are hurting, but they're stuck with a heavy rent payment. And how do you minimize that? Because you don't want to close the business, but how do you mitigate? But I love that idea about sharing space. That was great, great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And another part of it is like you have to sign these long-term leases. These commercial spots want 3, 5, 6, 7 year leases.
Mm.
So it's very realistic that you can find someone who's in year 2 of their lease that maybe wants to get out of their lease or is
Mm.
willing to give you a part of it towards the end of their lease.
Great. Yeah, I've never been on that side where I've had to worry about the commercial, but that's a great learning experience for me or knowledge for me for people that I know who are in that position, which I never would have thought of. Wow, that's interesting. Hmm. Okay, so that's from the rent perspective. Um, has obviously, I'm sure it has inflation um, raised the cost of your fabric, so therefore, then you have to turn around and raise the price so that you can still make your margins again, whatever those are. Um, have tariffs impacted you at all?
Yes and no. I'll start with a controversial answer here.
Okay.
Um, What I think this can go with inflation tariffs, or this probably can apply to a lot of things. What happens is, to use fabric for an example, we'll get hit with maybe a 25 cent per yard increase.
Okay.
Okay, so my manufacturer, let's say they charged 625 a yard. Now due to tariffs, they charge 650 a yard. That obviously trickles down to the customer, but unfortunately, what I'm seeing is each level it's getting raised exponentially more.
Ooh.
So it might go from the manufacturer to the supplier, it might be 25 cents. But then from the supplier to the retailer, it's another 75 cents that they're
Ooh.
adding on top just to use the word tariff. And then the retailer is going, well, I paid an extra dollar, so now I'm charging an extra $3 a yard. So
Gee.
my advice is don't overinflate the tariffs. I've seen this happen a lot, and I think this is probably happening across many industries. So that's one thing I do. I just eat the tariff. If I'm paying 25 cents more, I don't care. I'm not raising my prices. I see it as an advantage against my competitor. They're raising
Yeah.
$3 a yard. I'm not raising my price at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And I
if
like
this
that, right?
form,
Because I like that, right? Because you're in that retail industry. So that's something that Steve and I really, we're not even, you know, into that. But it's good to hear from your perspective because now we can understand it from that perspective as when we visit places, especially small businesses, we can understand when the prices are raised. You can understand why and what's happening and rather than beating up the owner because, well, why is this $25? Last week it was 15, and then you get mad, you don't stomp out the store. We have to understand that this is real. This is happening across the board in every industry and every product and service. Things are raised and we're really struggling.
Yeah.
There has been, and I look at Yahoo Finance for whatever it's worth every morning for like 5, 10 minutes, and then I'm done and I shut it down. Um, really, it's just too depressing. But
Right.
I do see a lot of articles coming out, exactly what Blake said. Somebody raises it 25 cents, next person is 75 cents, next person is $3, all under the guise of tariffs, which we know is not true, but it's gouging. And a
Right.
lot of
That's the
big
word.
corporations are doing that. And people, I think, hopefully, people are starting to fight back,
Yeah.
which they should because it's just ridiculous. Um, yeah, it's just my opinion, but okay. Anyway,
I get it, right? And you said it the best, right? And if you look at it from the food industry, right? Look at the cost of food right now, right? It's astronomical.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, the one I hear the most is eggs. People are so upset about
Right.
eggs. Well,
Hmm.
don't eat eggs. You don't need to eat eggs. Find something else. If you stop eating eggs, they're not going to keep raising the prices, right? You know?
Well, maybe because
Hey,
here's the twisted logic in my mind for whatever that's worth. When eggs was 2.99, my daughter would go buy eggs. When eggs hit 6.99, it's not buying eggs.
nope.
But their logic could be at 6.99, if enough people stop and they want their margins, they're going to keep it at 6.99. So if every other person buys it at 6.99, they're still making their money. So in order for that to really work, mass numbers of people have to stop buying eggs.
Yeah,
They have no choice but to lower the price, otherwise they're going to sell nothing.
yeah. Like, do you see that in your industry with fabric? Is that something that could possibly like cause a problem if, like Steve said, if every other what did you call them? What do you call the rolls of fabric? I forgot.
Oh yeah,
Blocks?
a bolt of fabric,
Bolts.
or yeah, right.
Every other
Um,
bolt of fabric, if you sold one at $300 and every other one was 150, would that work? I mean, do you see that? Would you see that? Something like that?
yeah, it's a yes and no. It's a little complicated. Like the manufacturers of fabric, they put these rules in place that you can't. They sort of set the price.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, a lot of times they'll say you can't sell it under X number. Let's just say $13 a yard. So, yeah, you might start at $15 a yard and 2 weeks later you might go down. And it's like goes down over time. Um, so to answer the question, yeah, I can, the fabric is so difficult to sell online that a lot of people want to buy their fabric locally. Um, you want to touch it, you want to feel it. So,
Touchy
New
feely.
York, yeah, New York, California, the big cities, it might be more expensive. Um, but what I've noticed is to sort of piggyback onto the food thing, I've noticed that Kroger and Target are using this as a marketing
Hmm.
tactic to new lower prices. I don't know if you all have Kroger where you live,
I have Target.
but yeah. So like if you go into Target, my son and I were there earlier buying Legos, and there's these little new lower price tag all over the place.
Hmm.
And Kroger's doing the same thing. And it's funny that the lower price tag still isn't as cheap as it was a year ago.
Well, yeah. Well,
Um,
that's because inflation is not this year. It's
Right.
inflation on top of last year's already higher prices. So,
Right.
it's
And the year prior to that, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Exactly.
Good
So
analogy,
that's kind of
Blake.
my answer. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I think that will prices go back down? Will there be competition? Yes, but probably not what it was 6 years ago, three
Right,
years ago.
Yeah.
right.
Good point. I was going to talk to Steve about that because that was my next point was going to be, at what point do you think we are going to plateau on this inflation? And then as the consumer gets tired of this inflation, they start really what we're doing now is only buying necessities. We're not really out there looking at, oh, I'll just go buy this $300 pair of shoes. Nah, I'm going to get the $50 pair of shoes. At what point do you see that inflation where it tapers off? And then you have
Okay.
competitors now, right? You have all these companies that are going to be competing because they want your business. And is it going to go the other way to where, well, they're 100, I'll sell for 90. Well, I'll sell these for 80, I'll sell these for 50. And then the consumer wins again,
Right.
right?
So
Possibly.
here's my opinion, which
This is the
is
Steve answer.
which is absolutely a jaded opinion. Okay, but it's
This
my
is the Steve
opinion.
answer.
And
Here it
again,
comes.
I'm not sponsored. This is me.
Right.
What I have failed to understand for years, and I'm going to answer your question. What I have failed to understand for years is inflation will never go away because the government put out a statement years ago that said inflation at 2 to 3% a year is acceptable. So therefore, it will never go down. Certainly not to where it was 5 years, 10 years ago. They don't want it to. Again, for whatever their reasons are, I don't know. Now, what I have seen happen here in New York is there's a growing trend toward people going away from the high end retail
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
more discounted stores.
Mhm.
People, as an example, I know I go to the dollar store. I'm not proud of that, I- but I do because if I can go out and buy a bottle of Snapple for $1.25 as opposed to 2.50 at the local place near me, I'm going to buy $1.25. But
Yeah.
if you look
Now,
at
do you
the
think they're going to have to, now, do you think they're going to have to change their name because it's no longer the dollar store? Would it be the 5 quarter store?
their um I'm not sure what they call themselves anymore, but the Dollar Tree by me
It can't be Dollar
has
General. It can't be
the
Dollar Tree.
whatever they're called. There
It's
used to
got to be a
be
five
all
quarter
these,
store.
yeah, $1.25 store.
The
There
five
used to
quarter
be
store.
all these
I like
aisles
that.
of $1. Then they went to $1.25.
Yeah.
The store is now, I would say, give or take a third at $1.25. The rest of the store is higher priced items because there's more profit. So a lot of people are buying less expensive clothes. They're going to the TJ Maxxes of the world and those types of things. Um, they're not necessarily buying steak when they go out. They're
Yeah.
buying a burger. They're buying chicken. So people are, as a general statement, starting to look for less expensive things to buy.
Yeah.
And there's always that difference between, is it a nice to have or a need to have? I need to eat food. It's nice to buy steak, but reality says I'm having chicken. It's nice to, I need a car to drive around, and it's nice to drive what is now $100,000 car, but can I do away with a $50,000 car instead of 100,000? Because now my payments are less. So that's the thought process of a lot of people. And I think it's going to continue until something major changes, which I don't know what that is, but something
Yeah.
major is going to change. And it has to, because people just, they just can't keep going the way they're going.
Yeah.
And Chuck, I mean, when you go into the stores and you start doing your thing with the Q.A.C. team, what are you seeing when you go into these stores?
Exactly. Um, the food costs. I mean, you look at a menu, I don't want to go out and eat anymore. You're looking at $17 for a burger, $7 for fries.
Yeah.
And that soda that you get used to be $1.99. It's now $4.99.
Yep.
I don't know what you've seen in New York. I don't know if you venture out in those
Same,
restaurants, but
same
you know,
stuff.
and Blake, you know, he's down in Virginia. I'm sure he's experiencing that as well. I mean, to go out to eat alone would cost you at least $35. Easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the food's not any better. You're not getting any larger portions. You're just paying 2 to 3 times what you did 6 months and a year ago.
But the interesting
So,
thing is the portion sizes are actually smaller now and they're
yeah,
charging more.
right.
And I can prove that by pictures. Absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
And I don't
It,
call people out for that. Yeah, that's not what I do, you know?
yeah,
So,
no, no, I get it,
yeah.
but it's reality.
Yes, because my show is not based around, I don't compare prices because you're in different states and different items. So I don't compare prices, I compare quality, you know, so
Mhm.
I keep the price out. But for the sake of this episode, yes, you know, prices are astronomical for what they're charging, you know?
And I just don't see it going down to
Yeah,
that extent.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I, I don't know. I mean, from my side, the prices of the products that I offer to people are fixed by the companies I
yeah,
do business with. So I cannot adjust those prices at all.
right.
But one of the products that is offered is a long-term care policy. And what's becoming more and more popular is in there, there's an inflation rider. So you could select, and yes, it costs just a few dollars, but you could select that if you're going to get hypothetical, and I'm making numbers up, but let's say you get $1,000 a month towards care. You could have an inflation rider that says it's 1,000 this year, it's 1,020 next year because you went up 2%.
Right.
Then it's 2% on top of the 1,020. Then it's 2% on top of that. So in that respect, you're somewhat keeping up with inflation,
Yeah.
but not
Blake, can you see
everyone.
that?
I'm sorry.
Is that, I'm talking to Blake. Blake, is that something that you could, is that something you would see in your industry? Does that happen like that?
No, I mean, like cost of goods always goes up. It never goes
Right.
down.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve
The
mentioned earlier, right? It's never going backwards, right?
No,
no,
it,
no.
and it can't because if everything around it's going up, it's just passed on to you.
Yeah.
Fuel goes up, when if stuff comes over on a ship from out of the country, the fuel, the labor on the ship, the maintenance on the ship, all that stuff, and that's going up, and they're passing it on to the cost of the bolts. I think that's what you called it, bolts, right?
Right.
Yeah. So they're just passing on those costs. That's why I don't think
Yeah.
it'll ever go in the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I'll go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, go
Go ahead.
ahead. Yeah, go for it.
I'll say I'll put a positive spin on all this for a second,
Please
okay?
do. Please do.
All right, so from the fabric specific, and I think this can work for a lot of retail, is I buy out businesses that are closing. So I'm trying
Gotcha.
to buy inventory and find inventory that's already in America that was never tariffed to begin with.
Gotcha.
So that's
Gotcha.
one thing. Very, very doable, very realistic. And Chuck and I talked about this on our episode
Mm,
that there's tons of people retiring and shutting their business down, and they have no one to
gotcha.
take over for them. That's
Gotcha.
reality. There's a ton of that. So
Hmm.
that's one positive there is you can find old inventory. Um, TJ Maxx is the best example of this, right?
Right.
They
Right.
nailed it.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to say is I think the whole purpose of the tariffs, and we've seen this cycle happen, is someone locally will innovate. Somebody
Mm,
will come disrupt the space. They'll do something
okay.
new. One of my favorite examples of this is Airbnb. If it
Mm,
wasn't for the crash of 2008, nobody would have started Airbnb. Or,
correct.
the founders like to talk about that, when they pitched that, oh, some stranger's going to sleep on your couch, no one thought that would work, right? But when people got desperate for somewhere to stay for
Yep.
making money, it
Yep.
worked. So I do
Yeah.
think we'll start seeing more of that.
I would agree. And I think that's great that you pointed that out. Um, because to every negative spin, there has to be a positive side. So I agree. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, yeah. Innovation in this country, I think, has to just pick up a little bit. And it doesn't take a lot. Just takes a couple of people to come up with some really good ideas, bring jobs back, bring manufacturing back, bring some ideas back. Yeah, and let this country start to go a little bit. Yeah,
I
I
think,
agree.
yeah, I agree. Right. And I think, as I've talked about several times, Steve, we always talk about this, and I talk about a lot of people about small businesses is what founded this country.
Hmm.
It was built on small businesses. And I think we've gotten away from that over the past, what,
Yeah.
maybe 15 years now.
Yeah.
And I think when these big companies fall, you have the Blakes of the world coming up, you have the Steve Kents coming up, who are innovating and creating these smaller businesses that are crushing that market because we're able to do it because we're small businesses. That's what we were founded on. And once we get back to that, I think that's where we're going to see change, drastic change.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
small
think that
businesses. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that 15-year window that you said is dead on, and I blame tech. I think that tech has overtaken this country. I'll
Yes.
spare my big rant, but everyone wants to make a quick dollar off of tech.
Yep. Yeah, I
Not
agree.
cool.
I agree. Yeah, the small
Steve,
business
you were
has
in tech
to.
once too, right? Weren't you in tech once? Yeah.
I was.
Yeah. We all were. I was in
Yeah.
Yeah,
telecommunications. Steve was in IT and
I
Blake
was in
as well.
IT.
He
Yeah,
plugged away.
Yeah.
yeah. For a long time, I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we need technology, but to a certain point.
Right.
To a certain point, you
Yeah.
still need people to do and
Yeah.
to think.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not just AI, people.
Right.
correct. You need people. Um, yeah, which okay, but if everybody does their little part, yeah, people will still come out ahead in the end, which is where it should be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
don't know.
what's the answer to this inflation and cost of living thing? I mean, from both you guys, I mean, we've been talking for, 30 minutes now. Well, a little less than 30 minutes. And, I'm just curious of your thought processes on how do we move forward, right? Because I'm still struggling on, raising my prices because I don't want to do that because I want to stay profitable for small businesses. Two, one, advertising and good pricing and advertising. Have me come out and do a show. And I know Blake doesn't want to raise prices on, selling all the fabric. I mean, you may have to. And then, Steve, you're in the middle, right? You can't really,
I
your
can't do
prices
anything.
kind of, there's not much you can do about it, right?
Right. But I did like a lot what Blake had said before, that one of the things he's doing is buying out other businesses that are going out of business. So he's doing what he can do to keep the price down.
Yeah.
If other people can, and again, that's specific to his industry, but if people can do similar types of things, look for less expensive X, Y, and Z. So if your price can stay low, then you can either pass on savings or not raise your prices beyond where they are today and still make your margin. So then again, that inflation stops right here. The
Yeah.
prices don't have to keep going up. So I think that's something that, look for the less expensive items.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I go to Dollar Tree, I buy stuff there. Um,
No, you don't. You go to the 5 quarter tree.
the 5 quarter tree. Yes. Yes. The dollar and a quarter store is what I call it.
Blake likes that
Yes.
one, doesn't
Yeah. The dollar and a
Yeah.
quarter store.
I was
But
like,
it,
how many
he?
nickels is that?
how many
The
nickels?
5 quarter
Yeah.
story. How many nickels is that? Steve, you're the finance guy.
Yeah.
A dollar and a quarter is what? 25 nickels.
Yeah. 25 nickels.
25
25
nickels.
nickels store.
That's a lot of nickels in your pocket.
A
Okay.
lot of nickels.
But yeah, but if everybody does their thing and acts smart and doesn't just go for the higher priced items, it's almost going to force the big corporations to lower them.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I just saw an article the other day how McDonald's had talked about people are fed up that McDonald's is costing too much money to go out and eat now. And I think
Hmm.
what's happening is McDonald's has seen a big dip in their profits
Yep.
that they have to do something. So now they're changing their menu items a little bit to where they can think people are getting a deal, but they're really not. They're still paying more,
Right.
but they think they're getting a deal menu of McDonald's. It's smart marketing, right? I think that's what's that. But I
Yeah.
saw the article. McDonald's was, they put out a little statement about how they're seeing people are complaining about, food costing too much on McDonald's. Well,
Right.
yeah, we all are feeling it, right?
I think companies are going to start more and more feeling the feedback, and not in a good way, from people, because they're getting fed up. People are being laid off. They don't have the income. How do they go buy this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I come in, right? Let me come in, let me go undercover, let me show you what we're seeing and what we're feeling about your business and give you a snapshot of what we think could help push you forward out of this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's got to happen.
Yep.
Something's
Steve
got to happen.
Kent, 516-727-2294. Reach out. Financial. Blake, 757-755-9152. He is the fabric guy.
And Chuck at 40, your number's down there. 410-935-6132. Let them come in, check your business out, tell you how to make it better.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Blake.
The future looks bright, man. Everything's going to work out. We always go through these times, and this is where innovation happens. So don't get down, think outside the box, stay positive.
Love
Steve.
it. Love it. I love Blake's output. Oh, not output, his outlook. Output. I'm doing well today. I love his outlook. Positive. I love that. What I would like, Chuck, I know I'm putting you on the spot on this one. When you do publish that podcast with Blake, somehow let everybody know where it's going to be, when it's going to be, your Q.A.C. team website, somewhere, because I know I would love to watch that. So yeah, that's my final word, is I'd love to look at Blake's podcast with you.
Going to be a good one. I tell you, just talking to him and hearing the story, it's very, again, like you said, his outlook is so positive. That's what we try to be, positive. And I like the fact that, without giving away too much of the podcast, I want people to listen to it. He was almost down and out, and he came up, man, and he persevered, Steve. Like we're all going to do. We're all going to persevere.
Great.
And like Blake said, right, the outcome can be positive. It's going to get better. It will get better.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Blake, thank you for being here.
Yes,
Enjoyed
thank
it.
you. This is awesome.
Looking forward to, if you want to come back, by all means, at some point, just let Chuck know, and you're more than welcome to come back.
You don't have to let us know. He can text me and say, "Hey, what's the topic?" He can come at any time, man. I tell all my guests. I've told Rachel that, I even told Jennifer, she can come on. And anybody that comes on, I'd love to have you, man. Anytime you want to come on and talk about our topic, I love it. This is why we do what we do, So it's been great. I'm glad both of you guys are here again in another. This is episode 52, by the way, Steve.
Nice.
52, man.
Wow.
We're getting there,
Congrats.
So, and in closing, Friday at 4 because
it's 4 o'clock somewhere.
4 o'clock somewhere.
I love it.
All right.
Man.
Great
Guys,
deal.
yeah. Thanks again for coming on, Blake. Thanks for the podcast. Thanks for coming and joining us on this great topic of inflation. It was good. Steve, good seeing you again.
You as well.
And guys, we'll talk soon.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Have a great
Take care,
weekend.
everybody.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.